ban, but it might be the Black Feather as well.
Yep, and there is the Black Feather follow-up, and it really is between the two of those, or just letting them both go through onto the table, but they do decide they want to ban out the Black Feather. It means there could be the possibility of A side picking up that Rhyme first, but no, they're going to go for the more versatile and not really showing their hand yet by picking up that Arden. It does leave the Rhyme pick, of course, open as a first pick for the side of A side if they wish to, because otherwise I could easily see it getting banned out in the second bans.
Yeah, first pick the Rhyme. There's no reason to let it get banned away from you because they can't counter pick yet. You can still get your captain. You can still get a Grace, a Catherine, a Lance, Churnwalker. There are tons of captains which they could pick up and pair with that Rhyme, and it will work really well. So the ban coming out now. Well, what counters Rhyme? You have Sky, Petal both do quite well. Reza is someone I would not have thought of as a Rhyme counter. He's quite good against the weapon power carry that will go with the Rhyme, that will synergize well with him. But that is not an expected ban.
Yes, I understand that. Maybe the Reza ban is in case they're thinking of picking up Saw alongside Rhyme, because it's just such a strong combo to go against.
That is dirty.
It really could work out well with a few roamers still available left to the table. I mean, Lyra has already been banned out, but in substitution for Lyra, you have the Grace's healing. It's not as constant, but the burst of heal is still there available to you through the ult with Divine Intervention. It also creates a very good front line, and with the kit of Holy Nova, being able to knock up anyone that tries to jump onto Saw, if they do decide to go for the Saw comp. It's not a bad pick at all.
I don't think they need to pick Sword now, though, because if you're on A side, you do not want to pick a Saw versus a Rhyme, because Rhyme does so well against Saw. He just throws the Valkyrie down, it's guaranteed to stun you unless you lose all your stacks and run away. Then he'll get the root, he'll get so many Winter Spires, so Saw is in a lot of trouble versus Rhyme, which means that they're not going to go against it. They can now see, with their last pick carry, maybe if they pick Vox, maybe we will push for the Saw, but if they pick something else, maybe they pick a Baron, or they pick a laner that Saw is not as good against. They're not forcing themselves into it, but they pick Vox, so Saw is definitely on the table.
Yep, that's all looking like a very viable pick. No reason for the A side to really go for Vox and Saw together. I couldn't imagine that ever happening. So they're not going to pick it away, and it's still it's tough to say. But Lance is quite a tough hero to pull off, because if you do miss those impales, as a lot of his kit just down the drain, he's in a position where for a few seconds is quite vulnerable himself, but it also means that you're not really utilizing his kit. However, the Saw, if could go along with that, the suppressing fire could just make it easier to land those impales.
Yeah, that is a common play with Saw and Lance, is you slow them with the suppressing fire, maybe even bait out the Vox's Sonic Zoom, then it'll be quite an easy impale, and from there, get them all into a wall, or Rhyme just bouncing in and just destroying them with his chain CC, chain root. They don't block the first one, you're in a lot of trouble. Gwen! That is not something I was expecting to see today at all. I suppose the Skedaddle's good for getting you out of gauntlets. Gwen doesn't need a block to do that. But why do you think they've gone for this really out of the meta weapon Gwen pick?
Well, I can see in terms of a hero kit, it synergizes well overall with the team of Lance and Rhyme. A lot of slows and CCs available in the kit, and as well as the stun coming out from Gwen with the Aces High. The only problem that I'm seeing here, Vox is quite squishy and will be easy to get onto. Well, maybe not easy to get onto, but easy to burst down. That's the main issue, is getting onto these heroes, because we saw it yesterday, I believe, a lot of Samuel Vox comps going together, and they're just so hard to jump on because they're really mobile heroes. And in terms of where they play in a lot of situations, you've got the Samuel on the back line putting down the poke, and if you try dive onto him, you're ignoring the Vox that's dancing around in front of you, building up those breaking point stacks. And we talked about this dilemma yesterday, that if you let this team comp get ahead, it's really going to be up to do some work. I think that it does come down once again to, is similar to what we saw, and the fact that the team with the Lance, just those impales are going to be so crucial to just chaining the whole CC together.
Yeah, it really is going to be chained together. I think the the first will be Buckshot Bonanza, used by Gwen. Get that slow, make that so much easier for the Impale. It's just all about making sure Lance doesn't Githian Wall out of an Ace's High, or Githian Wall out of a Valkyrie, or Githian Wall out of a Chill Winds. So you really should save it for until all of that CC is down, or use it first to get them into a wall and do the first stun. Otherwise, it's going to be tough to coordinate that correctly. That is something to watch out for in this game.
Yes, and I think that we will see quite a bursty build more than likely coming out from the Gwen that you were talking about. Not much of a meta hero at the moment, so to bring in the Gwen now, it's just going to have to rely on following up with burst on whoever gets locked down. And I see that the comp could work out in that situation, but this is all, just in theory, all on paper, what we seem to perceive for ourselves. We'll always have to see how the players decide to play these comps, and how they even decide to build it can really crucially turn the outcome of the match.
Yeah, I really think that Tension will be first or second behind a Soil Blade. Rhyme will go for Shatterglass first, and then you have that synergistic power spike of Gwen with Tension Bow, Rhyme with Shatterglass. You probably, if you get the jump, you've won the fight. And even if you don't get the jump on them, if you land one form of CC, you've probably got that target down. So that's definitely a combination that can work. I am really interested to see what build this Gwen's going to go, because we haven't seen Gwen at all. Are we going to see attack speed? Or are we going to see maybe a Saw build, Saw Blade into Triple Tyrants? Because Gwen's going for that burst on hit, use the Buckshot to refresh a basic attack sort of idea. Or maybe we're going to see some tornado triggers, some breaking point perhaps on Gwen. We really have no idea what she's going to build.
Yeah, we will have to see as they go into it, as I mentioned, that the builds can really just change around the whole flow of the matchup, and those power spike moments that you get depending on how, obviously, it will just be quite interesting to see. I agree with you when you brought up the fact of Tension Bow being a likely pick, no matter what they try to go for. It's just some good early damage alongside that of the Buckshot, and I forget what the perk is, but
the Boomstick perk.
The Boomstick, yes.
Yeah, that's really something that Gwen has always played before, because of that Boomstick plus Tension Bow proc was dealing too much damage. Now, with health being increased, it may not work as well, but we are going to have to wait and find out. We are now loading into the House you Unfold for the first game of the day. Let us know which team you think is going to win. Is it going to be the side of Renegades, or will Divine Aurora take the series 1-0 so far? We're going to have to find out. I think it's definitely a much more meta comp from Renegades. They've gone for something that we know that works. They've seen it being played before really well, and they're just going to try and copy it. Whereas Beyonce on this Gwen, really, it's just going to be up to how well he's figured out how to play Gwen this time.
Yes, and we do see a very aggressive start, more or less, from the side of Divine Aurora. They went towards that mid and managed to keep SNK away from him. SNK actually starting those fronts, making sure they don't get stolen away from the side of Divine Aurora, so they're going to be able to get that outer treant, and it looks like now see on this Gwen going to take a rotation of the jungle alongside Spitfire on the Rhyme, just going to help probably pick up the ambient gold more or less, because Rhyme's still wanting those items as well, wanting that economy to really help them out in terms of working towards early Shad Glass, and then just trying to get on top of the enemy. As you mentioned, Boots second can also be a good item to invest in.
Yeah, it looks like there might be a little bit of negation there. Samuel drifting though.
Yeah, the drifting dart doing a lot of damage. We know that Samuel, once he hits that level 2, just has such a power spike in his own kit just because of Empowered Malice and Vertex, and the AoE damage off the back of him. But there's going to be the Impale onto Spaghetti. He goes very low. He does get the Vanguard from SNK on that Arden, so he'll be up to back out. And Arden actually going to pick up the first blood for himself, taking down Majin. So nice turnaround there from the side of Renegades. They might be up to get more, but Spitfire does have the fortified health as long as he's landing those attacks. And you can see the Boomstick perk coming into use by Nyon. They should be up to pick up SNK, and they managed to do so before he's able to jump onto Nyon. But it has left Chingy ahead to go and take that outer treant, so he's going to take the second one of the map for today. Meanwhile, Nyon C just rushing in there, I think alongside Martian. I didn't quite catch that, did you?
No, I didn't catch it, but most likely Impale landed and then Vox got blown up by Gwen. That's just pretty simple combo. Vox slightly overstaying. He's gone for Blazing Salvo and Swift Shooter. Spaghetti's going, it looks like it's a poison to breaking point, but a very odd way to get there. Maybe breaking point tornado trigger because that's a different build. But Niancy going so low, nice body block from Market. He was unable to pour home.
Yeah, those Malice and Verdict shots just so close to hitting them even when they're trying to back it. But just 2 of them were being enough to take them out, I believe. But they're putting the early pressure down on this first turret from the side of Renegades as they have the all 3 members up in lane. Should be up to get to about half health. Doesn't look like they can quite push those minions anymore though to rarely push it past that half point mark. And that's going to be Marjin diving in on the front line, but need to be careful, taking so much damage on his own already and really not tanky enough at this stage. Doesn't even have the fountain built up yet. Of course, we're only 3 minutes in, so he's already going to be forced back just after returning to lane.
Yeah, had a live spring, but couldn't keep him that healthy anymore. And Spaghetti is farming all right, but Niancy's doing really well on this Gwen. He's been under turret. You see the turret's down to half health. He was forced back, and Rhyme took a lot of the wave. But that just made Rhyme easy to Samuel, because Shingy was doing so well on CS compared to the Rhyme. He's taking those rotations quickly, getting a couple of elders, as you said. Now I'm going to go through the backs, and Shingy looking to rotate up the lane, see if anything's going to come of it. I don't think he'll be able to get a kill, but he might get some more poke on Niancy, try and get some more pressure on that turret, because Renegade's comp can really siege fantastically well.
Look at the positioning coming out from Chingy on the Samuel. Is going to get flared out, however. As expected, Chingy might get some free damage off the bat with the positioning they have there as they push up this wave in, but might still be up to do so as he puts down the drifting dart, just trying to get a few shots in there onto Niancy. Does some decent damage, and they finally push that turret past the halfway point down to a quarter health. That's going to be the engagement coming out from Spitfire onto Spaghetti. One more shot will be enough to pick them up, but Niancy going low themselves needs to hide behind their teammates, let them body block those Samuel shots, and remembering to keep your distance is also quite important because those Samuel powered Malice and Verdicts do a fair amount of AoE damage. Niancy trying to get some return damage onto this turret, but really doesn't have the minion wave to do it. We'll have to back off alongside Marjin. Spitfire not going to be able to steal any farm at the moment. Just has to go back to the jungle shop. Might be able to pick something up there, but no, not really enough gold yet. You can see probably going towards that Shattered Glass first with the Heavy Prism and Eclipse Prism in his pocket.
I suppose it could be Dragon's Eye first on this Rhyme. It's not a bad item against this position, I think. So then search out
It's going to be the first turret falling. Renegades finally pushing in and always being successful with that minion wave pushes, getting a lot of damage out of it, whereas on the side of Divine Aurora, by the time they push the minions up to the turret, they either have so few minions or so little health on their own heroes that it's quite hard to get anything out of it. So far is definitely working out for the sides of Renegades, even though they're behind in kills 1 to 3, they're seeing ahead in gold just slightly.
Yeah, getting that tier 1 turret really pushed them ahead in gold despite the kill deficit. Yes, Shattered Glass has been the first item for Rhyme. It looks like Spaghetti's going to go Breaking Point Double Tyrant, or maybe Breaking Point with a bit of crit with a Tornado Trigger thrown in there. Interesting build that he's gone for. I think it could work against this Rhyme. Push and shift might have been really useful because you know Rhyme's going to sustain. He's going to get 4 health. He's going to probably buy an Eve Harvest. Going for much more damage much earlier on. That makes sense. Rhyme's going to survive in the fights as well. That is another way to try and beat him, is to just outscale and out-survive. And if you do out-survive, you have the Breaking Point and the Dragon's Eye first items for Renegade.
It is interesting to see the instant rush into the breaking point, but you're right, it's really going for that scaling damage at this point, and no poison shift. He doesn't really see the need for cutting down any healing coming from enemy teammates. There's only going to be the fountain there, and it's just gone for straight off instead. There's going to be aces high onto Chingy, but Chingy manages to land the Oblivion onto that Marjin. They pick up the kill. There's going to be Valkyrie on the backline, and it's enough to go along with the Winter Spire to take down that box. Chingy running away with the help from that Vanguard, but Niancy on the chase. Just one more buckshot will be enough to pick up the kill, and they managed to do so with SNK being the last one standing, but Spitfire not going to take any of it, going to be able to just tank his way through it. I might have spoken too soon, as he goes very low as soon as he stops landing those Winter Spires, and Niancy going to be able to pick up the kill more than likely onto SNK. Was he a bit too tanky for him? Looks like it bit too much to shoot as Martian gonna go in there with the Impale on Spaghetti, just keeping the back in. This is once again why I mentioned by the side of Divine Aurora, although they push the minion wave up, they're winning fights and really not getting anything out of them.
Julia's gift on the Arden, giving him a bit of healing and the healing flask as well, being really important to keep SNK alive. Gwen just couldn't do anything, and Spitfire was lucky to survive. Nice damage from the Gwen with that boosted potential weapon up.
That's going to be the Impale onto Chingy, almost hit Spaghetti as well. They managed to step out of that, but only for a second as he sticks around and still gets picked up in the fight. And now they really have a chance for the side of Divine Aurora as long as they can push these minions before Spaghetti and Chingy get back to lane. They're quite pushed up in favor of the side of Renegades, and they're just going to leave Spitfire on this Rhyme to solo the gold mine. But we could see a steal coming here from SNK as he's trying to get something out. But Fire got pushed away by the Giphian wall, and that really is quite a problem, as you said, that a lot of the time with those replacement repositioning abilities that come out from a lot of the support heroes, such as the Lance and even Bav Churnwalker, you really need to be careful when playing alongside of a Rhyme, because he relies so heavily on landing those Winter Spires to keep him alive.
Yeah, Margin making a mistake and then making up for it by securing the gold mine. That Giphian wall made SNK feel so happy. It's like, the gold mine's off the Winter Spire, I've got this, let me just get my talent and one punch this into our team. But it was secured by the Lance. And yeah, as you said, it's the same thing with Churnwalker, similar thing with Finn. So quite a team play, and SNK
just check that bush. There's going to be the Oblivion going down, and it doesn't put anyone to sleep, but it does trap out Martian and Spitfire. Now it's still stuck in there, but not running from this fight. Just going to jump on Spaghetti, forcing out the fountain use on the side of Renegades, and some good use of the Chill Winds going, of the Winter Spires going through to really zone out Spaghetti. They're going to be able to lock down Chingy. Good Impale into the Giphian wall and just keeping him there. And now we see Gwen moving onto this turret with the rest of the team. They're going to finally be able to take it. And although it was a lot slower than the Renegade's initial turret, they have managed to build up a decent gold lead for themselves. Although we saw the very slight lead for Renegades at first after taking that objective, it's gone so much in favor of the side of Divine Aurora after all those fights, now seeing at 22.9k over to 20.2. So if they can keep this going, they really will have a good transition onto when Kraken comes up and hopefully easy taking for them.
Yeah, 2 infusions used up by Divine Aurora, 1 used by Chingy, but that didn't really help them out. This Fox is looking like he's going Breaking Point Tyrant's Tornado Trigger, so very similar to the old school build, but putting in a bit more attack speed, trying to fight away from the vibe a bit more effectively. But the CC chain and combination from Divine Aurora is really impressive. They're almost always getting the Impale and then Rhyme is following up, deleting someone, not pushing out of Winter Spires in general, apart from the gold mine. But Chingy is just getting blown up by this Rhyme and by the Gwen. There's not much they can do. He's not going to build up 9 Dragon's Eye stacks because he's going to die about 3 seconds into the fight, which is a bit of trouble. SNK could be caught out. He's split from his team. He's going to have to back to Sentry or try and one punch this gold mine. He's got a candy for it. Oh, nice plays. Easy candy. Trying to stop the Divine Aurora from taking this. Are they going to back off because the fight's going to happen?
Well, Spitfire's still going for it for now, but there's going to be the engagement coming out from Renegades, and good use of the Oblivion. Nyanc having to block out the Gauntlet, ended up getting caught up in that Oblivion, but there's no real follow-through there. SNK on the front line going fairly low, both Romans, in fact, and that minion miner still being candied is doing a lot of damage to everyone, causing a bit of chaos in the midst of this fight, but Spitfire not afraid to back out. He's going to continue to hold his ground here, going up, just checking. They really want this gold mine, so they're going to go right now. And SNK will still see them there, but you see Renegade still nearby. Will try and contest this one. Spaghetti taking a lot of damage, but Fountain coming out on the side of Renegades gets them back up to full health, but Martian, meanwhile fairly low, does not have that Fountain up for his team, and they will have to back off of this gold mine. I don't really see it being taken by the side of Renegades at this point, but no, SNK just being cheeky, putting another candy on there. He's like, they don't want to let the side of Divine Aurora sneak one past them, get their goal lead even further, because as I mentioned before, you know, if Divine Aurora are able to continue to do that, should have a good transition in towards this Kraken.
Yeah,
And
it's one of
I
those
think
things.
SNK doesn't want to take a fight as well. They're just trying to stack up at this point and build up those items, as we see Spaghetti now sitting on that tornado trigger that you mentioned earlier being a pickup for him.
Once again, they wait for the candy to go out. Like, come on, SNK, another 50 gold, put another candy on, and we're going to take this.
Well, they are going to try and pull Renegades out into a fight. Last time they didn't have the fountain, but they do now, and SNK actually put one without fountain. Yes, yeah, there's going to be the Valkyrie that aces high onto the box, and they pick him up instantly. Now, see, trying to chase down Chingy, but needs to be careful with the Crystal Sentry. They could just try and find SNK, but the Impale not going to land, and turning their attention once again back to this gold mine. Will they be left in peace to do it? It looks like no with answers. Chingy trying to make something happen here, but gets pushed out of his drifting dog. So good engagement from Majin to be aggressive there. SNK jumping in, just wanting the steal, not going to find it, might lose his life instead. Chingy just needed the shots in with the Malice and Verdict, trying to get someone, but no. Majin and Spitfire so very low, especially Spitfire, not going to get taken out, and Chingy just having to back out on his lonesome, go clear his own farm. So after all that effort coming out from both teams, Divine Aurora end up getting what they want.
Yeah, Spitfire was like, come on, just let me secure this gold mine. I've tried it 4 times now. I'm not 81 anymore. It's quite a lot of effort to take this gold mine. But it's a smart play from Divine Aurora because they know they're ahead in gold. And so what they decided was, right, we start the gold mine, we force a fight, we win the fight because we're ahead, then we get a gold mine and a turret. And so it's a smart play, but the problem was they couldn't win the fight because they were taking gold mine. And Minion Candy, 50 gold, it stops the enemy securing 1,200 for their side. Probably quite worth it from SNK to pick that one up. But it did take an awful long time for Divine Aurora to get that, which just kind of stopped their aggression from working out how they might have wanted. It looks like Gwen is going to go for the breaking point, so the Soul Blade into tension bow as we expected, and then go for a bit of ramping damage to try and match up with Vox.
Well, it's like during that time, neither team really was able to go and farm elsewhere at least, so no team got any benefit from it, except for Divine Aurora at the end there, so it's just more drawn out overall, and we see SNK getting caught out, doesn't get caught on that second payload, and it really worked out for Divine Aurora now, putting them 5k ahead of the side of Renegades, who they're saying it 32.7 over to the 27.2k for Renegades, so it's working out quite nicely for them now that Kraken is up on the fold. They basically need to just win out one fight. They don't even need an ace, they just need to get a man on it. It should be enough. There's going to be aces high onto Spaghetti, and the wait for it also used in return, so ult's going across, but nothing really being found out of it, and they're just going to turn their attention to Kraken and just rush this. They know they've got the advantage at least early on, and so much damage being put out from that team at this point. As long as they can keep SNK away, who's always trying to cause trouble with these objectives, there's going to be the Impale onto it, and they follow through with the Valkyrie into the backline. It does get blocked out, but the Gauntlet managing to catch out now and see where Olivia doesn't. However, it's Spaghetti going to jump onto that opportunity, gets taken out himself. Nioncy just hiding back so well, able to pick up the double kill, could even get the triple if SNK tried to challenge it, but no, SNK just trying to run, does not want to give them the ace and the Kraken, so you can see SNK being so just aware of the whole situation they're in a lot of the time, not overstaying, not trying to let the enemy take objectives so easily. So SNK a very good head on him there, especially being a roam player for Renegades.
Yeah,
I think Roam in a lot of situations is quite the shot caller and has a lot to say and understanding about the map, but they're going to be able to take it, even though SNK jumping in.
Arden does always like to do a little steal, but SNK is dead. The reason he didn't chase Gwen earlier was because if he died, it gave up the ace trying to kill Gwen. That is a turret and a Kraken, because ace buff minions guaranteed to take that turret down. The smart plays from SNK, went for the steal, not quite sure that it was the right decision. Even if he steals it, he dies, then Divine will get a free Kraken for nothing, because you can't push just 2 members. So now SNK not up for a little bit, easy, 2 turrets to Divine Aurora. Are they going to try and push all? Maybe even push for the win with this push.
It is possible. It's been done before, pushing 4 turrets. We might see it here as they have no room to really keep them safe. But Valkyrie going to land on the back line, and they're easily going to pick up Chingy as the first kill. Majin, however, tanking up this turret needs to be careful as he can't tank up much more. Spitfire going low themselves will be the first as Paul. Martian going to be second, and Spaghetti building up his stack. Sing on 20, just needs the speed boost to get there, and he's going to get with the Vanguard, and they pick up the triple kill, the ace. And I'm not sure why they're not backing.
Minions stopping the backport.
Oh,
Spaghetti's not backing because Minions
Spaghetti
keep
just
attacking
dancing
him.
there, not even doing a bit of a glitch. You could see Spaghetti
No,
just having a bit of a dance.
That's what happens when if you start a port home and get attacked by a minion. Sometimes the animation of port home still happens when you stop porting. So if you looked on his animation, there wasn't a white beam.
No, there wasn't the beam around him.
Because
and I was actually wondering about that.
Because a minion attacked him again. Minion's OP, Kraken gets another turret because of that. That's awesome.
Yeah, the other day I was wondering about that. You must think, how do the heroes have that ability? All of them just happen to have the ability to port home magically. Are they Power Rangers or something?
Don't question it.
We won't question it, but apparently minions have the magic to break it. They break the special dance that's necessary, but there's going to be the Olivia going on to the backline, gets blocked out. Aces High doesn't quite hit onto Spaghetti, and Divine Aurora chasing down this box with all that got the Gauntlet, going to keep them separated just enough, but no, Nancy going to use his reflex lock. His ages to get through there as well as the skedaddle, and just manages to kill that box. Meanwhile, on the backline, Chingy doing some work to Spitfire, but needs to be careful not to get caught out by the Chill Wins, because that means it's over. Or the Impale. Chingy just fighting out for their life, and they're not going to have enough as Nancy making the rotation to join back up with them, not chasing down SNK, knowing it's a bit of a lost cause.
They go for the base race.
They
don't
can
care
just
about their turret. They go for the base race.
Just go into the base, but they're fairly low.
They've given up.
They're going to go back.
Yeah, they could have stopped that turret falling. Nice buckshot to do about 50 minions. But yeah, Nancy decided to leave his turret because it was basically dead anyway. And so in the end, after 2 kills for Divine Aurora, Renegades get a turret. So really a good fight for them in all honesty. No Kraken to be taken by Divine Aurora. The target focus from Divine Aurora was so impressive in that team fight. They went all in on Vox, then all in on Shingy, and they did not split focus, which is what we saw the side of Renegades do. Renegades, they half went in on Rhyme, half went in on Gwen. Rhyme was about a quarter health, Gwen was about less than that in terms of health, but they didn't die. They all survived, and Spaghetti and Shingy did fall. So target focus is really important. It's tough for someone like a Samuel to focus because he just has to Madison Verdict forwards, but Spaghetti really needs to be on the same target that Shingy's on and try and get them low.
SNK gonna get caught up in that Impale. There's gonna be the engagement, a re-engage coming out from the side of Renegades as we go in with the Oblivion into the wait for it. Wait for it gets walked out, there's no silence coming out, and the Gauntlet's still remaining, but they're gonna just stand in there and continue to push back. Divine Aurora picking up the kill onto SNK. If they pick up one more kill, you know, they don't even need to pick up another kill, but they will manage to do so onto Samuel. And Vox running for his life, so very low. They could ignore him at this point, and they'll still be up to get the game with that final turret remaining. But Nionc just gonna go in for the triple kill. 16, 1, and 3 on this Gwen, and you were asking if this Gwen would work out, and I was also a bit unsure. We kind of speculated, well, as long as Divine Aurora are able to land the CC chains, they should be fine, and it looks like for a lot of those fights, that's exactly what they were able to do. And in terms of the build, Nionc going for that breaking point, not a bad idea, because you can see a lot of the time is SNK first getting caught out, and they were just able to follow through on that, and the fights were quite extended, so really working out for the Gwen.
Yeah, it's really just matching Vox in terms of damage. Vox had 4 damage items and Gwen had 3. But if in a straight 1 versus 1, Gwen's going to win that because she has the defense. But once they both hit 20 breaking point stacks, Vox might win out the trade. And so Gwen was just trying to keep up with Vox. She did really well with that. And it worked out way better than I was expecting. 16-1, as you pointed out. Gwen fully built because of all those kills. Yeah, I think the Soul Blade Tension Bow is kind of mandatory on Gwen. Soul Blade for an early game power spike, Tension Bow for that mid game power spike, and then she wanted breaking point to match Vox. So it makes sense after that breaking point to go double defense, to tank up, make sure you survive, because you know you're going to be the focus. It's not going to be Rhyme. Rhyme with only 2 items is quite tanky. He's going to be tough to take down. So if you become tough to take down as well, you're up against a double squishy comp. You know they're both going single defense, so you're going to shred through regardless of only having 3 items. So it was really well played from Nionc, and despite what we were saying, Gwen not being in the meta, Nionc's bringing him to the forefront.
Yeah, and I think it is right of Divine Aurora, as you said, to wait for the final pick, whether we were speculating a Soul pick, but they ended up going with the Gwen. And I think you mentioned the double squishies were obviously Samuel and Vox being quite squishy heroes. As long as you're able to get onto them, that it's easy, especially for Gwen with that tension bow buckshot perk still working quite well alongside, especially when you got Sorrow Blade there, just some good base weapon damage to help amp that up. And then, as long as the fight's going longer, you're going to get more than one tension bow proc out of that fight.
Yeah, really, the first fight after Gwen picked up Tension Bow was so good for Divine Aurora. Gwen, she picked up the Tension Bow, waited 6 seconds, it procced, bursted down Samuel to guarantee the kill, and then they got their tier 1 tie off that, which was really, really simple for them, actually. And I think that if you're Renegades, you should be not necessarily worried about the Gwen pick again, because I don't think Gwen was the reason they won. It was just Divine Aurora were so together, they were synergized together. They would impale and there'd be follow-up. They would, if he missed the impale, there wouldn't be follow-up. It was really impressive to see how Divine Warriors are playing and how they're bringing a fight to the #1 seeded team.
Yeah, definitely for Divine Auroras where they sit in terms of points, reflected in how they're playing. There's a lot more to be said that Divine Aurora really putting up a good game recently, and it's a possibility that they could really push out of that challenger zone, but where they might end up in challenger battles. They just need to get past Vav Nebulae, who were, I believe, sitting up at 8 points. But for now, they have to push through Valve Renegades one more time if they want to make it through to the finals for today.
Yeah, but draft is ready for the second game between these two teams. So without further ado, let's head on into the draft.
Okay, and going into the second draft, we do have the side of Divine Aurora on the blue side and Renegades over on the red side. So there's a bit of change there. I feel the most counterplay generally comes from that of the red side. No, okay, that's a bit wrong. It's like it really depends on how you do the draft, but I feel like being on the red side is a lot better a lot of the time, because with that, even though you get the first priority pick, a lot of the times that can easily be counterplayed by the second pick and ban coming from the red side. But they're gonna go that Reza ban again. We saw it second on the side of Divine Aurora last time.
I definitely feel that in the double ban draft, being on B side, it gives you more options. You can last pick that counter pick. A side is much more about getting priority picks, getting a strong synergistic composition that works together. So you want to get that Kestrel Rhyme combo. You want to get something like a Cath Batiste on A side, because if you can guarantee that for yourself and get a strong comp, then you have to just hope the counter picks aren't enough to get past it. Rhyme, once again, highly prioritized. They don't think there's a counter, but Renegades do. They think it's cool.
Now, I would disagree. In a 1v1 situation, yes, Cruel can win out. And if Cruel can somehow bully Rhyme in the early game and get ahead, then yes, Cruel is a good counter pick. But in a lot of team fight situations, and that's where you're going to find yourself in a lot of the end game fights, and where the most important fights break down, in my opinion, is that of the end game. And the Rhyme pick is just such a good pick for that. And you even previously talked at the end of last match saying that you don't think the Gwen was what held the team together for the side of Divine Aurora, and neither do I. I thought that of a Rhyme pick, along with good Roma CC and Synergy, was really helped the team overall together. So I'm glad to see another Rhyme priority pick for the side of Divine Aurora.
Yeah, the Petal ban was interesting. It's a common strategy to pick Cruel ban Petal. Petal is a great CP counter to Cruel, but weapon power, Petal isn't that good against Cruel. Yes, it's annoying, but you can still be really good as a Cruel against weapon Petal. They don't want to play against it. Going through the bans, Kestrel ban, Chernwalker pick, and in response to Chernwalker pick, we can see a Sword pick, and in response to the Sword pick, we've seen a Celeste pick, and that was really quick, because the Sword pick, let's go walk through it. So, Kestrel ban was because they wanted to pick Sword, and the Sword pick was also because they picked Chernwalker. Chernwalker does not great against Saw, and so it's pretty simple. Go Lyra Saw as well. It's really strong. And for the side of Renegades, they'd already picked Cruel, so they want to pick their Celeste. Saw was picked up, which means Celeste is an obvious pick. So all of these picks in order makes sense to be rushed. They wanted the Churn Walker, they knew they wanted it. They wanted Lyra Saw. Oh, we want Celeste. Let's just all pick our comfort picks and pick the heroes we want in this draft.
Now, I talked about before in our previous match that if they allowed Rhyme and Saw on the same team, it can really start to snowball out of control.
Now they've got Lyra on that team as well.
And they have the Lyra alongside that of Saw. So I would be a bit worried if I was the side of Renegades. Of course, that final pickup being that of the Celeste, meaning if they can make it through to the late game, they have an opportunity. And Churnwalker and Cruel, I don't think I've seen it yet play together, but I can easily imagine the synergy there. Cruel obviously wants to stay on top of his enemies. Any enemies that will try run away from him will get pulled back into them. But in this case, Churnwalker, no one's really going to be running away from the Cruel, to be honest, because Rhyme wants to stay in the fight. Saw, possibly, but as long as he's spun up with Lyra nearby, should be all right.
Yeah, I think there's going to be interesting counterplay between this Churnwalker and the Saw and the Rhyme, because obviously Rhyme is, if you pull Rhyme in, he's like perfectly happy. It's exactly what he wants, unless he's trying to chase Gwen, you pull him away. But that's a really tough thing to do. You kind of have to trespass behind him, then land another chain and torment him away from Gwen, which is a skill combo that takes a lot of skill and a lot of timing that is really tough to pull off in an actual team fight, because normally Rhyme's going to be killing your Gwen immediately. I think that the Lyra Saw combo, obviously, we know it's great. Saw gets spun up, you portal into the back line, they're dead. And Celeste is going to be in a ton of trouble, because all they have to do is portal in, reflex block the core collapse, body and crucible from Hell's Heart. Torment will be really annoying. So the trespass will be annoying, because one form of CC is going to land. As long as you block the first couple, Saw's going to destroy Celeste in about 0.3 seconds. And then Celeste is dead. Cruel's going to have nothing on the Saw. But we're going to have to wait and find out which team's going to win. We're loading into the House to Unfold for the first game. If I was playing one of these competitions, it would be Lyra Saw. I guarantee you I'd be picking that up in solo queue. But we're going to have to wait and see how this is going to work. Which team do you want to take this one? I requested you.
It's so tough to say, and you can see that Divine Aurora looking for the early push here. That Majin already put the minion candies on to those minions before they even moved up into this lane. They're just going to go ahead and push with this sword. And if that's the kind of aggression we're looking at coming out from the side of Divine Aurora, I really would like to see it work. And as someone who's been playing a lot of Rhyme recently, I think that it's good. And you say that I'm a bit of a hater on Saw. Maybe slightly, but I think it is a good comp at the end of the day. And I think I'm slightly leaning towards that Divine Aurora, but I could really see that Renegades with the chains, especially for them, and he's gonna get that easily in the outer and I could see him turning these around, because although Divine Aurora wants to be up in the fight standing right in front of them, it provides a very easy opportunity for S2 to land all those chains and possibly into that trespass that you mentioned, and they could even try CC chain that with the core collapse and even House Heart into play the game.
Yeah, and there's going to be S2 trying to get up to Neoncy. He's broken the chain though, so he might be able to run away. Hasn't got boosts. Saw's going to go down, no question. He's going to get it though. Oh wait, no. Lyra's going to get a heal in a couple of seconds. Nice play.
S2 does not have that torment just yet. First blood will go over to the side of Renegades, and they need to be careful here. Nancy fully spun up, but look at that. Core collapse going to land onto him, and they pick up a double kill for themselves. So Renegades with that comp is quite a surprisingly good solution to that of the Saw comp, and could just work out in their favor as they bully out the side of Divine Aurora.
Yeah, I think it was kind of designed in mind. The draft was designed with the Saw pick in mind. They were expecting maybe they're going to go Saw. We've let open Lyra and Saw. We need to be prepared to counter it. We've seen it a lot in solo queue, so we need to be ready against it. I think it makes sense that Churnwalker does well, because early game he is so strong if he gets 3 chains. He's got 4 at the start of the fight. And so they secure that Elder, they do massive damage all around the members of Divine Aurora. Yes, Saw did a lot of work, but Saw mostly attacked SNK. This week in his life, he's going to be okay, he's going to sustain through that. Spaghetti meanwhile was on the back line, not taking on damage. Notice he's going to go down.
Yep, a low as he gets taken down, but third kill going over to the side and to that of Cruel. Cruel just sweeping in and picking up these kills, and that's why I said early on, Crow will actually have a decent job against that of Rhyme and Saw, and especially Saw being such a slow target, that's quite trouble of getting away from that of the Crow. And I'm just thinking, when you mentioned the 4 chains that were put on at the start fight over the outer triad, if the side of Divine Aurora attack that outer triad, are they hurting themselves?
No, it's only if allies attack it. You can't deal damage to yourself with a single captain. SNK going to go a little bit low, but he's still got that chain. Trying to get the Torment doesn't quite get in range. Spaghetti is in a lot of trouble until he hits level 8, but Shingy is not.
Shingy just rushing in with the Deadman's Rush onto Nyon C, followed up by the core collapse, but they will block it and get out. You can see early reflex picks up on Nyon C, knowing that he really just needs to try work on farming up, at least for now, until they can get some engagements going in their favor. There's going to be Spitfire finding a kill onto that of SNK on the Churnwalker as he gets pulled in close, and Spitfire doesn't mind that if he's all on his own.
Yeah, Shingy going to come to lane though.
Collapse landing on Spitfire, there's going to be the kill, and I don't think they have damage to take down Chingy because Crow just able to rush away from Nyon C's area of effectiveness, so especially with Martian being low on energy, not having a bright bulwark to keep him there is quite a problem, and both teams just going to back away from this lane for a second.
Yeah, the real problem with this reflex, basically first item for Neon C, that he doesn't have any form of damage. Shingy should be dying if Shingy takes that many Saw basic attacks, but because Neon C only had 2 weapon blades at that point in the game, it just wasn't anything. It wasn't any form of damage that she had to worry about. Spaghetti also has built Evil Harvest first, hasn't got any defense on Saw because Saw hasn't been hurting yet. But now it might be a different story with that heavy steel. Saw could be doing a bit more work, can be used.
And we do see Candied minions as they're going to push in aggressively on the side of Renegades. Martian needs to be careful there. You do see that Chingy in the bush, but probably looking for Nyon C as his target, waiting for SNK to get those hooks and chains up, get the Torment off, just waiting for the opportunity. But Martian stepping a bit too close to that bush will get punished for it and forced to use the fountain early on. Maybe not the best use of it, as we see SNK still has their fountain in their pocket, actually buying it just then, I should mention. So they are able to rotate back up and swing the turn tides of this fight once again in their favor with that minion candy. And really you'd think a Saw should have the aggression in this early game, but Renegades putting so much resources up into this lane.
Yeah, they're making sure Saw does not pressure this left. Oh, Shingy's not farming that well, but it does not matter. They are pressuring this turret, they're doing really well at that. And it's tough for Neon C, he can't do anything at the moment.
Yeah, it's tough indeed, and we see Chingy just staying up in this top rush. And ooh, a bit of a misplay there as they actually torment the Rhyme out of the core collapse, but they get the kill in the end anyway. And Nyon C needs to be careful now up on, well, not on his own. Martian still there with him on that Lyra, but there's nothing they can do to stop this turret falling. And first turret gonna go over to the side of Renegades, and you're right about that. I think it's a smart play to invest so much resource into that lane early on to help out the Celeste, because Spaghetti already level 7, soon going to be level 8, will have that range advantage on Saw, and from there you can kind of just leave Spaghetti on their own up in lane.
Yeah, the game is going to be won or lost in the lane in the early game, and so it looks like it's going to be won by Renegades at the moment. Of course, Saw late game doesn't fall off anywhere near as hard as he used to, so he still, once he picks up his Soul Blade into a couple of Tyrant's Monocles, Spaghetti is going to get bursted down if Saw can get on top of her. There's no question from this point onwards, Saw's going to kill Celeste very quickly. But it's whether Celeste can land the Helios on the turret or whether she can land the
But then we see Chingy sitting and wait, is going to jump onto Martian, but just backing out there as soon as Bright Bulwark was used. There's going to be double chains onto Nyon C and Martian from House Heart landing onto Nyon C, and there's the Solar Storm to pick up the kill. Valkyrie landing on Spaghetti, however, but they should be able to survive through that as Fountain was used, and they're able to pick up the kill onto the Rhyme, chasing down that of the Lyra for the triple kill. They managed to get, they have the aced up minions pushing through, and this is better than they could have planned as they go through for the second turret already, and it's like what you'd be expecting the Saw team to have be doing at 7 minutes 50 and to already be taking down this tier 2 turret.
Yeah, it has gone down. Goldman will be secured as well by the Crawl. Celeste going to come and give him a little hand. She's a little bit slow at taking that. And it's really the real problem was that Neonsi on this wall rotated down into the jungle, thinking, okay, I'll push the lane with this minion candy, rotate to jungle, get Elder Treant. Easy rotation, we get ahead, and Celeste maybe loses some CS. The problem was, Neonsi pushed the wave, Celeste cleared it quickly because she's Celeste. The minions went out of target range, so Celeste rotated down to Elder Treant as well. Chelmok got 4 chains because they are so immobile, the members of Divine Aurora. And so Chelmok got that. Chelmok's team secured the Treant, and it was really simple in the end for Chelmok to win the fight because at level 1, level 2, he is possibly the strongest hero in the game. Not as a hero by himself, but in a team. But he's going to face check.
Ooh, yeah, there's going to be engagement coming out from Divine Aurora as they go through with the chill blitz to lock down Spaghetti. But look at that Spitfire going fairly long south from Two. You need to be careful. They can't even save the Saw at this point in time. It's just too much damage coming out from side Renegades. There's going to be the trespass onto Martian just to secure the kill. Knowing Spitfire will stay around to try and save him. They managed to get the hook on him. They managed to get the Torment as well. And Spitfire could go down. Chingy going to dive this turret. The Torment soon available for them. It does get blocked, however, so they are not able to pick up that kill. And good timing from Spitfire there, as they could even pick up Chingy in return. They managed to do so, and Spitfire going to get out there with his life, just barely so, but in the end managing to punish Renegades for their overextension. However, only 2 kills on the board overall for Divine Aurora in this matchup.
That fight should have gone to Divine Aurora, there's no question. They should have won that fight. They should have got probably 2 kills, probably even an ace as well. The problem was Spitfire jumped onto Spaghetti because it was face checked by SNK, and then Lyra stood on top of the Saw before the portal. Saw pushed him.
Oh, and there's going to be the trespass and Saw falling instantly with Solar Storm coming through, landing a fair bit of damage onto Spitfire. And are they going to follow up with that as they try and chase down Spitfire? They will, knowing that he's probably going to be in those shops, but they do not get the kill. We go over to Majin here, who's having a bit of trouble with SNK. I don't think they'll be able to escape this situation. They do manage to flare out that bush down there so they don't get ganked, but look at this Spaghetti right in front and misses the core collapse, and Majin trying to juke the best they can using that arcane passage. Spitfire going to be there to help save him, but they cannot contest this gold mine at this point, so they need to back out this fight. Divine Aurora already Martian and Spitfire very low. There's going to be the fountain used on the side of Renegades, and SNK manages to escape the range, but not the suppressive fire coming out from Nancy, and this could be a misplay from Renegades. As they don't focus down the Saw early on. Brightbull are going to keep them off for a second, but they should be able to pick up the kill onto that of Spitfire, and Nancy on his Lonesome will probably fall to that of Saw and, not Saw, that of Cruel and Celeste. The Crystal Sentry is there, but it's not going to be enough, so I was expecting that could have gone in favor of Divine Aurora, even though they started off quite risky jumping into that. They managed to catch out SNK, but the damage dealers, that of Chingy on the Cruel and Spaghetti on the Celeste, still both up, not really checked, were able to just turn around the fight in a 2v3.
Yeah, the fight I was talking about earlier was when Lyra portaled into the Celeste at a great time, but Saw was standing on top of the portal when Lyra used it. So you cannot portal someone who's stationary away. They have to actually walk into the portal. And so Neonsi was just walking around like, why can't I go through this portal? And so he wasted about a second or and a half trying to walk through the portal, in which time Spaghetti would have died, no question, to the Saw. So that was a slight misplay, and they haven't managed to get another portal in this game. Saw's got his breaking point now, so Shingy will be stacked. Spitfire's going to go low.
Trespass, and look how low Spitfire's going. Brightbull did stop them for a bit, but the Echo Trespass will go through, and they pick up the kill onto Saw, that first target. Once again, good block coming out from Spitfire, however, to make sure they don't get stunned out. They might be able to prevent that ace and possibly prevent their anchor turret falling, but look at this, Renegade's going to take the Crystal Sentry before it even gets back to its nice little home. And they're going to take out the 1 life remaining on that, soon to have complete control over Divine Aurora's jungle, and with Kraken around the corner in a few minutes, looking good for the side of Renegade. So unless Divine Aurora can really turn a fight around here is the question. Solar Storm coming in onto Neon C, dealing almost half his health in damage, and they're going to continue pushing onto this anchor turret. More than likely going to get it just a few hits, and there it's going to finally go down. Divine Aurora looking for a possible engage, but there's going to be the trespass stunning up Spitfire on that backline. He manages to get the chill wins off, but look how low down C's going, and he's going to fall to that of Spaghetti on the Celeste, just using auto attacks most of the time. It is enough, which you wouldn't expect against a Saw, but
Spaghetti is
so low in that engagement.
Yeah. Spaghetti is ridiculously glass cannon. No defense, 4 damage item already 30 minutes in, and they're going to get the turret. Spaghetti's so low though. Lyra manages to portal back to base, which will give Saw a portal in. Spaghetti could be in trouble, but the portal isn't long enough. Saw's not going to walk through it, and the Renegades want to get another sentry, but they also are very low, so they probably don't want to go too deep. Chingy looking at the fire round.
Chingy singing wait, but instead using that Shouts Empowered Me to run away. SNK just going to fight for his life, noticing he got caught out. You can see a lot of the time if Divine Aurora are able to catch out SNK, they are able to pick him up for the kill. The only problem from here is making sure you kill that Saw. As we see him waiting in the bush, gets spotted out by the rifle worker, just going to jump onto Martian. There's really no heal with that of the who's just running around doing what he wants. Solar Storm right in the face of Saw, and Renegade's going to get a few kills for themselves. And it's why I said before that as long as Cruel is alive, kind of Spaghetti doesn't need a warrior, and it shows in their build that you mentioned, the glass cannon build. They just have a lot of trust in Chingy to be that front line for them, as well as a lot of, I guess, faith in their own damage that they're being able to put out, now sitting at 10-0 and 9 at 14 minutes 35 in.
Yeah, Spitfire dodged out the Solar Storm from Celeste, which then hit Saw square in the face. And Saw's like, hey, I'm down to half health now. I would have been full health and you would have died. You're gonna die anyway, Spitfire. Just tank it for me. But no, he gets a full Solar Storm to the face, so Saw's unable to really fight. And they haven't done one portal into the backline where Saw can just delete Celeste. Because it would be really easy with the build he's got. It doesn't matter what he's built some damage. And so Saw portals into Celeste when spun up, just block the CC, wait for the Atlas to run out. And even if you're Atlas, you can still probably kill Celeste at this point in the game. But Margin, gonna get chained up.
Yep, and Nancy getting pulled back alongside that. That's going to be the trespass stunning up both of them from House Hard gets blocked, but that's going to be the Crucible gone for their side. And with another trespass on the way, as SNK did manage to echo that, it's going to be tough for them. And Saw once again just the Solar Storm to the face. There's nothing he can do about it. And SNK holding on to that trespass for now, knowing that his team can really handle the Rhyme on his own. Probably going to save the trespass for Margin if he's able to land a hook onto him. But Margin just dodging out these hooks left and right. Will stay alive, just not going to give over the ace for now. Needs to stay alive for another 8 seconds, however.
He can steal the goal line. He can do it. He can steal the Kraken.
Perhaps Martian looking for the opportunity to go in with that of Arcane Passage into rifle work, but they do get stunned out as it happens, and it happens all too quickly, and Renegades with the damage, and once again Spaghetti just Solar Storm directly in the face of Lyra. It's just, with that glass cannon build especially, those Solar Storms hurting so much, and the Solar Storm actually being overdriven in this case rather than that full glass.
Yeah, Solar Storm is melting through Neonty. He's pressing fires. Celeste is a bit far away, so she can't land the Helios, but she can land the rest of the Solar Storm every time. They only need one turret from this Kraken push from Hellsart. Not going to be hitting.
Yep, and Solar Storm once again, just in case. It goes through 30-second cooldown on that as well, so not too bad. It's going to be available for most team fights, but already being used. And I guess you may as well overdrive it when you know your targets are quite stationary and you're going to hit them. And there's going to be the engagement off the back of Trespass. But looking for this turret, however, it's all they need to finish out the game. It's more than likely a Renegades match, but is there anything Divine Aurora can do in their last preps? No, there's going to be the Soul falling first. Even through the rifle work, still gets taken down, and Cruel picking up Lyra. They're just going to go for the kill on Spitfire for good measure, more than likely. They know that Kraken and Cruel are working on this crystal, and it's going to be GG as Cruel taking that, and 24-4 in the second matchup between Renegades and Divine Aurora. A very different game, and although we saw the Soul comp being picked up, it was quite fantastically countered by Renegades with this Churnwalker, Cruel, and Celeste combo. well, with that, it is going to be that match ending out, and they will be playing into the third matchup more than likely. As with these two teams, I'm sure the viewers, as much as us casters, want to know who's going to be on top, as Divine Aurora put up such a good fight in that first match.
Yeah, it looked like the sword comp could have worked. They decided to draft it not knowing what the enemy carry was, which was a bit of I could say a mistake in draft, because they probably thought they'd be okay against the Celeste. They knew Celeste or Scarf was going to be the last pick. But then Celeste was last picked, and the problem was Renegades got ahead in the early game because of the Churnwalker, and Saw thought, yeah, Churnwalker, I'll be tormented and I'll kill everyone. But he didn't think, oh no, I'm going to take loads of damage when Full Spectral Smites and does 700 damage to kill someone. I then take 30% of that. So that's really, it worked out well for Renegades, and they just managed to win the early game against a Saw comp, which is why they took that series so convincingly.
Yes, definitely so. And you're going to wonder whether the side of Divine Aurora, if given the opportunity to even pick up the sword, if maybe now they're a bit afraid to do so.
Yeah, I think in the third game, they have that last pick on B side, so they might decide to last sword depending on how the draft goes. If a Vox is picked, then you can look at the sword. But going against a Cruel and a Churnwalker, they decided to ban the Kestrel because they were way more afraid of going against Cruel Kestrel. Maybe the Celeste ban there would have made sense. I think if you're trying to pick up a Saw, you want to get rid of Celeste because you can't body block her skills except from Solar Storm. You can't body block Helios. But that is enough speculation for the second draft. We might see a Saw, we might not. Draft is ready for the final game between these two teams. So without further ado, let's head on into the draft.
And so, looking at previous bans that came through on this first slot, what are we expecting?
We're seeing a very different ban on Cruel this time. So, Cruel is generally a B-side pick because you can pick ban Petal. What Renegades are doing here is they're going, okay, we're going to do a very similar draft to what you did, but ban away the main counter. So Kestrel immediately picked up. This is not what we were expecting. Very quick drafting from both of these teams. They both have an idea in their mind of what they want to do, and they just go for it. They don't think too long, too hard about it. They just go with whatever makes the most sense. And so now, thinking about the bans, there isn't anything that needs to be banned away. You've got Kestrel, all the captains still on the table, so I don't think it's worth banning one away, because sure, you can ban Ardent, they've still got Lyra, Grace, Catherine, Lance, even Finn, Churnwalker. They've got tons of captains that can pair well with that line. But they're going to ban the Churnwalker instead, so they don't want to play against it again.
Okay, I was saying Sword because I was thinking, what if the side of Renegades are allowed to play the Rhyme Sword comp and they just show Divine Aurora how it's done? However, by banning the Churnwalker does make sense. You don't want to be pulled in towards that of Rhyme. It's very similar to that of not wanting to be pulled into that of Cruel. However, there could always be a Celeste pickup last for the side of Divine Aurora if the sword is picked up in the next two picks for Renegades.
Yeah, I think that's still an option if they leave they pick their captain now, pick an Arden, maybe a Lyra, quite well in their composition. Yeah, take the Arden, and of course it would be a bold move for Renegades to go Lyra Sword here and go, yeah, we don't care about your jungle Kestrel, your lane Celeste if you're going to pick it. We think we can win with it. I don't think they will. I think they're more likely to go for maybe the Vox themselves and pick up with a Lyra perhaps. It would be risky, but they could do the same composition and show them how to play it. But no, they're going to go with that weapon Petal against Kestrel.
Well, the Petal pickup, it was banned, I believe, previously. At least one of those matches, the previous match we had up, was banned on the side of Renegades themselves, and they're still going to finish the comp off with the Lyra pick, thinking that that's the next best Roma available to them with Churnwalker and Lance banned out. And it's really not that bad. I think it works, it synergizes well with that of Rhyme. I prefer Grace, is all just my personal preference and taste of it, and yeah, I think that they have a decent comp built up for them.
Yeah, the real problem here is, what do you go against this Rhyme and the Petal? Because you want something like an Ozo to counter the Petal, but you do not want Ozo to try go up against Rhyme. And so they've decided to pick the Samuel. with alongside the Kestrel, it can work really well. You've only got an Arden, you haven't got Lyra or Grace for healing, but you do have a decent amount of sustained push. So what we're expecting in this composition is you've got Kestrel and you've got Samuel. So we're going to have a turret siege quite early on. Rhyme's going to be trying to jump out of bushes, sprint boots in, journey boots in, travel boots in, just get on top of them however he can. And then land the Wood, Chill Winds, Winter Spire into just as much damage as possible to burst someone down. Because if the fights go for quite a while, even though they've got a Lyra, Vanguard will keep everyone alive, and Samuel and Kestrel will be able to poke a lot better.
Yeah, I think the poke really works out well for them in the burst damage because there's only so much Lyra can heal, as you said. So a good comp coming out from the side of Renegades into response of what that of Divine Aurora have picked for themselves. So actually, am I getting this wrong? A Divine Aurora.
Yeah, Divine Aurora is
the red side.
Yes, Divine Aurora is the second team.
So this time it's actually, I was just confused because of Rhyme always being picked up by Divine Aurora so far, this time actually being picked up in the hands of Renegades. So I'm actually liking the comp that is coming out from the side of Divine Aurora as a bit of a correction to my statement there. I like it. We've seen this Samuel being paired up with that of Kestrel before as well as that of Vox. I think when paired up with Kestrel, as you mentioned, great siege potential there and just a lot of poke damage and even sustain there for Samuel himself at least, and means that Arden can generally focus more on keeping the Kestrel alive.
Yeah, so we're tending to like the B-side draft so far. It does provide so much help. It's so helpful to have that counter pick at the end. And on A-side, you really just have to get the power picks together. And Petal Rhyme is a combo that works really well. Weapon Petal is a good pick that kind of fell out of the meta just because people forgot about her. But she's still really strong. If you get Solar Blade into a couple of tornado triggers, you're going to get bursted down. And Kestrel is not good against Petal because those Munions, they body block Glimmer shots. Yes, they'll get instantly deleted because their weapon power, they don't have much health. But they will body block the Glimmer shot. They'll take the weapon power ratio, not the Petal. And also, Munions follow Kestrel when she's invisible, as long as you basic attacked, which you should do as a weapon Petal. So smart play, picking up the Petal to counter that Kestrel. And yes, we did see Petal banned when Cruel was picked, but because Cruel was banned, Petal was not going to be taken off the fold. So it's a smart draft from Renegades, but I agree with you. I think Divine Aurora got a lovely siege composition, and they just have to keep their distance, keep their vision on Rhyme, and they should be fine. But that is enough speculation. We are now loading into the game for the final game between these two teams. Who is going to take the series? Is it going to be Renegades or is it going to be Divine Auroras? Let us know which team you think is going to win in the chat, and it's going to be a close one.
Yes, and with this, we will be into the second match now, and it looks like Renegades starting in their backs. Meanwhile, Divine Aurora going for that aggressive push more than likely to go for this mid. I mean, with the Malice and Verdict and that of the Glimmer shot early on, you're going to have an easy job of taking it, whereas for the side of Renegades, you really need to be careful with that Petal, who needs that trampoline for them ability because they get caught out. Oh, but has got the trampoline first and not the Munions. I mean, if it's Weapon Petal, I guess it works out.
Even if it's Crystal Petal, I personally love to see trampoline picked up first, because if you jump out of base and jump to the trampoline up, you will get 3 Munions, and then you have the trampoline bonus, weapon power, bonus crystal power, and you have bonus move speed. If they try and fight you at level 1, you have your trampoline available. It was very risky for Spitfire to try and take that Elder Tree at level 1 as Samuel, because if they fought them, Samuel is way better than level 2.
Yeah, usually you do wait for that level 2 on Samuel, but now he is level 2. He's up in the lane, ready to put down some pressure. Not using the Drifting Dog just yet, waiting to get the right positioning because it's so important in making use of the whole Drifting Dog duration and not really putting yourself up against the wall sometimes, forcing you to just step out of your own Drifting Dog can be quite a problem. As Spitfire now going to use it across the lane, trying to get a bit out there, using the Malice and Verdict and power shots, but meanwhile, it looks like Renegade's going to be able to take away that second Triumph for themselves. Rhyme able to farm fairly well on his own after that first clear, and going to probably be not disturbed so much for the early game, and we'll just have to see. Once again, I feel like a lot of the game will be changed and decided up in this lane.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it could be that way. The junglers are just going to farm up themselves. The laners just trying to see who can out-trade, but no one's really trying to be that aggressive. Kestrel knows that if there are minions in the way, if there are Munions in the way, the themselves aren't going to hurt. Whereas Petal knows if she manages to get that trampoline in aggressively, Neonsea will go reasonably low. But the problem with that is if Petal trampolines in to try and get some free poke, then if Spitfire's waiting in the bush, you are dead. And so it's really tough for this Petal to get that much pressure. Ryan once again wants that Elder.
Yep, he's going to rotate back down to the outer tree and be able to pick up the second one for himself. Well, Spitfire focusing more so on this lane, trying to let Neonsea go back to base, just going to babysit or take care of this lane for them while they're gone. And yeah, Chingy really not too worried about it, as I mentioned before, that the junglers just really focusing on their farm for now before they go up for those ganks. And Chingy going to have a lot easier job now that hitting level 5 is soon going to hit level 6, and once he gets that Valkyrie, it's going to be a lot easier going up into lane to lock down some kills, because with the Arden on the enemy team, you do need a lot of CC to try to deny the speed boost that the carries are given when the Vanguard is on them.
Yeah, I think Shingy doesn't really want to go to lane before that level 6, because even if you boots him, as you said, the Vanguard will pretty much make them okay. Turret for backs, is this a worthwhile trade for Renegades? Kind of, because the kill on turret is going to fall most likely at some point because it's so sticky. Shingy going for the little flank. He is going to hit level 6 so much quicker. Ooh, Samuel could be in trouble. So if I knows that his farm isn't there, if I was like, okay, I'll just go to lane. Screw it, I'm not going to try and fight you, Ryan, if you're hiding in my jump. I'm just going to go to lane. He's going to get the tree.
Yeah, Chiggy's sitting and wait for Spitfire, thinking Spitfire might come through, but as soon as they see they are up in lane, pushing onto this turret is going to continue with those backs, now making the rotation up into lane themselves. So this could be a very good engagement as they go in with the Valkyrie on the backline into the Chillwinds onto 9C. Spaghetti making that trampoline for the movement around the around behind that of 9C to pick up the kill, and now the chase on Spaghetti will give them the double kill. Majin on the run, and could I was surprised. I thought Rhyme would go around the other way and try cut off Majin, but at the moment they're looking for some return damage on that turret.
Yeah, lovely play from Shingy. I was expecting him to boots out and try and then land the Winter Spire into Chillwinds on Kestrel, but it was much smarter. Hide in the bush, use Valkyrie to initiate. Show yourself with that Valkyrie coming down. Landed a stun and a stun and a double slow. So that was really nice plays. Neonsea, as we see him do often in this Kestrel Sword Blade, and then Energy Battery, wanting to get as much, because he ran out of that active camo energy, so he couldn't go invisible in that fight, which would be so useful against this Ryan. Yeah, then Shingy wins 5-2 wins, really nice plays. Valkyrie not quite up yet though.
Damage. Yeah, a lot of damage coming out from those Chillwinds early on. Chingy doesn't even have the Shattered Glass just yet, but still, you've got to respect that, and he's up in the front line a lot of time, but Spitfire trying to put down some damage of his own with that Drifting Dark into the Malice and Verdict, and both, as I said, both teams really focusing on this lane at the point.
Yeah, it's very lane focused, but it's not very aggressive, because Samuel's coming up, seeing if he can poke out Spaghetti. Spaghetti's happy farming up and seeing if he can scale to late game. I think once he gets a couple of tornado triggers, he'll be in a much better position. Turret is focused by Aurora. So he's going to go down!
Yep, and it looks like that kill going to go accredited to 9C, but still Renegades not afraid to go for the engage. They will trade out Kestrel for Petal, but Chingy not able to do anything about that after the fact. Not going to easily get on Spitfire when he has that Drifting Dark and Majin with the Vanguard there. So if anything for now, just trying to hold these minions off, make sure that initial tier 1 turret doesn't fall for them first, because they've still yet to put much damage onto that of Divine Aurora's turret. And something I was looking at earlier was also Spitfire. He had stayed up in that lane for so long, although they've managed to get more damage onto the turret, and you talked about the fact that they really haven't been getting any meaningful engagements. They've just been getting chip damage going around here and there. Spitfire now has the Oblivion available to him. You might see a fight turn around in their favor, but Chingy once again on that back line doesn't do anything off the back. They're just going to rejoin with his team for now. Both teams still poking out at each other. There's going to be the engagement onto 9C. Oblivion comes down, puts them to sleep, but not before they pick up the kill onto that Kestrel. And now moving onto this turret very aggressively. They don't have any minions left, so they will have to back off and instead go for that of the gold miner. But I think Divine Aurora know that, and they're going to try push this first turret anyway.
Yeah, Spaghetti's going to try and stop it. I don't think he'll get there in time. Going to trampoline in, and no, he will stop the way. Spitfire's going to go low though.
A lot of damage going on to Spitfire. The Fountain of Renewal coming out before the side of Divine Aurora. SNK still holding on to their own, so they can turn this around easily. And meanwhile, Chingy able to solo that Crystal Sentry for the most part. That's going to be 400 gold each for each person. On the side of Renegades now saying it's 17.5k. Fair lead there across to Divine Aurora's 15.7, and really whoever gets this first turret is going to be so meaningful. Nancy gain the Vanguard from that of Arden, but it's not going to be enough to stop the damage coming through from Chingy, and they're going to be able to pick up Kestrel and Arden from that engagement, and now surely this turret has to go in favor of Renegades.
Yeah, Shingy, nice, secure on the gold mine, coming up to lane. Valkyrie's not quite landing onto Kestrel, but it is landing the slow, which is really important. Kestrel getting slowed up, nothing that she can do without that Vanguard from Arden. Gauntlet is now available for Arden, so that really can help disengage, try and stun Rhyme on the edge, trap him outside, so he's forced to block into the Gauntlet. Then Neon-C and Spitfire back off outside the Gauntlet again, so Rhyme is stuck inside, unable to catch up to your carries. So that's really what has to happen. It has to be really defensive, so it just locks Neon-C and Spitfire in a little box that Rhyme has to block into, and then has to try and block out of again. That's a pretty simple way for Margin to win these fights, and Rhyme hasn't even got a block.
No, Rhyme does not have a block, but Chingy already a level ahead of Spitfire, and I was just looking at in terms of their experience as well, that they're actually basically a complete whole level ahead of that Spitfire, just due to the early game, how much concentration Spitfire was putting up in that lane, and that's really going to help them out here, although not ahead in turn 3. I am Spit fairly even, is still just going to be that much more ahead of the enemy jungle being bad for Samuel. And a lot of damage going on to Spaghetti. The lane is still fairly even, however, as we see they've got the similar items of Sorrow Blade and Tornado Trigger. Spaghetti going to find out Spitfire on that backline, but there's going to be the Oblivion, does get blocked out, but Petal going to be the first to fall to that 9C as they left them unchecked and ignored, and there's going to be the Arcane Passage out of there. Spitfire again caught up, no, doesn't get caught up in the root, but will fall to SNK on that Lyra, and Kestrel probably going to be able to get the return kill, but no, SNK being cheeky here does use the Imperial Sigil to keep them going on. And
Meanwhile,
Shingy worrying about the fight, just worrying about farm, and I think that's so much of what Chingy's been doing this whole match, just going on his own farm, and now picking up a Eve and a Shatterglass for himself has really pushed that lead on Spitfire, although Spitfire, as long as he gets I think 100 or so more gold, should be able to pick up the Eve now. Oh no, he needs the Heavy Prison, that's where he's falling behind.
He's going for a Clockwork second item actually, so Spitfire can afford a Clockwork when he goes down to the shop. It's 750 now, a little bit cheaper. But no, maybe it went from 750 to 1,000. We have to wait and see. But that's gonna be an engagement.
And Spitfire going low, it's going to be the target, and they take him out instantly. Spaghetti knowing that Samuel's so squishy, trying to keep up with damage of Ryan, and then Neon-C going to get taken out as Spaghetti trampolines over that wall to pick up a kill. Good chase coming through from Chiggy and SNK as well, so well played by the whole team of Renegades, and looking like a very much Renegades game this for Game 2, although Divine Aurora were able to take the first match.
Yeah, he wanted the Clockwork second on Samuel. It's such a good item. It was actually 1,750. And that, it works well on Samuel because you see this Drifting Dark, whenever he lands a Malice and Verdict combo, his Drifting Dark cooldown gets reduced by 7.5%. This basically gives Samuel constant Drifting Dark if used correctly. If he lands Malice and Verdicts, then every 2 seconds his cooldown of Drifting Dark gets reduced. So that's such a good item to for Samuel engaged.
And there's going to be the engagement coming through the Valkyrie onto Kestrel. They pick, actually onto Samuel, I was mistaken. They pick them up instantly, but Petal will fall in return. Neon-C not backing off from this fight, knowing they can keep their distance with the help from Martian. Chingy using boots early, won't be able to find the kill onto Neon-C, and they're probably just going to have to back out this, but knowing Chingy still looking for more farm.
Margin with a fantastic gauntlet. He did the gauntlet not stunning up anyone, but he put it on the edge of the portal. So whenever Petal or Rhyme walked through the portal to try and engage, they were stunned up by the gauntlet. Such a great play from Margin. Meant that they got the kill on Spaghetti, but they did lose Spitfire in the process. So an even trade, but given how the side of Divine Aurora seems to be losing all of these fights, the gauntlet really did put it in their favour. And Petal has got 4 items and Kestrel has got 2. How has that happened?
I It looks like, I'm not sure, it must be that energy battery just sitting in the pocket of Kestrel, but there's going to be the engagement going over to the side of Renegades as they pick up the Ardent, and Kestrel instantly. Spaghetti on this backline, just being that glass cannon weapon pedal, working out so well for them with the double tornado trigger, and the Tyrant Spotter Code Sorrow Blade to finish it off. They're going to jump in and take down Samuel with ease, the ace, and the anchor turret as well. Could even be the game, but not quite, as Nyan and Martian going to be back up, but not even Kraken is up on the fold yet. We're still 12 minutes 47 in, and we look at the gold lead coming through from the side of Renegade, seeing at 33.8 over to 25.2, really coming towards that 10k mark, and is starting to prove themselves in these fights. If Spaghetti, well, basically, if the side of Divine Aurora aren't able to take out Spaghetti initially, they're not really able to win out the fight overall.
Yeah, it's really nice plays from this weapon pedal from Spaghetti. I think Nyan tried to basic attack the Petal, not realizing that he had about 1,800 gold to spend. Petal was 2 full items ahead, with Gauntlet in.
Yeah, but it's going to be the Gauntlet, the Echo Gauntlet, and they don't catch anyone out of it. This is such a, I would kind of say, misplay from Divine Aurora, because Renegades with now a really easy opening if they can regroup themselves. We do see Chingy and Spaghetti coming up to the lane, but SNK getting caught out themselves needs to be careful. But it's going to be the overall engagement. Spaghetti, SNK going in with the Arcane Passage. Right forward, not just yet, but they're going to use it now. So it was a bit delayed there, not the Arcane into right bulwark that we expect, and although Petal dueling out with the Samuel, he is able to find the shots he needed, got the kill, and in this case, Renegade's still able to pick up the fight because Nyan is so very low to that of Chingy, and on their own without the Valkyrie, Chingy is just always going to catch up to you with those Journey Boots.
Yeah, Journey Boots, so important on Rhyme, picked up as the 3rd item. Spaghetti was just destroying Margin, destroying Spitfire, and then did fall in the end, but Nyan, really nothing you can do against this Rhyme. And it's really tough for Divine Aurora at the moment. They've let themselves get quite far behind. They've got their 2 turrets left, but I think as soon as the first Kraken comes through, they will probably just lose those in the Kraken push, and they have to bring out much better gauntlets. I understand the idea from Margin. The first gauntlet was very unlucky to not catch out Spaghetti. Spaghetti jumped at the perfect time with that trampoline to not get hit by the gauntlet wall. The gauntlet wall came down as Petal was jumping through it, and so just barely not able to catch her out. But he needs to get the stun. He cannot just waste an Echo as well to try and catch out Spaghetti. He missed the wall jump, didn't go over the wall, and Petal just walked away, and then we re-engaged a bit later. So 18 seconds, and they want to fight, but they're going to go in.
Yep, and Martian going to use that gauntlet early, not going to be able to echo it this time, and Petal already taking out the Samuel. Not fight you want to look for, but with Nyan on the wrong side of the engagement, it looks like Martian going to try and save them, but is going to fall in the process. Triple kill for that of Petal. Spaghetti just picking it up easily. They're pushing through with these aced up minions. They don't need the Kraken, and it looks like more than likely game 3 going over to Renegades, winning it out 2-1. Although Divine Aurora putting up that good fight in the first match, just weren't able to come through in the next few. And yeah, they put themselves at least 1 point ahead of that of, I believe it was J3X Inferno. So yeah, although they were sitting ahead even points on the chart, they did come out here with at least 1 point, so they're not going home with nothing. They have the 3rd and 4th playoff matches coming up after the semifinals as well to go through. So still opportunity available for them to make some more progress. But Renegades will prove themselves to continue to be that